Hey, welcome back. I have been on a short hiatus because I've been a little bit sick, but today we are back in session. And I'm glad we are because we're going over music theory, chords, sounds, and feelings. And this is important. I'm about to show you guys some really cool stuff that I've been working on. And I want to show you how I made the chords, how I put them in the drop, how I used them in the intro, and basically how I'm using these tips and tricks to spread my melody and harmony throughout the track. So let's get into this. First, I want to show you the intro chords. So we're going to be making some of those soothing intros, and then we're also going to be making these drop chords right here. We'll listen to the build and the drop. Okay. We're going to do this next section right here, B section. Awesome. So those are the melodies, and then the second drop I kind of switched it up. Whoa, okay. So as you see, we're making a lot of energy with the same chords, a lot of different sounds with the same chords. So it's basically what I'm going to show you. Now, when I started this, I first picked my scale, which was D minor. I'm sure you've seen what a scale looks like. So basically we can use these 7 notes, the ones that are highlighted. Cool. So basically when I started the song, I just started with a clean blank slate like this. I went into Ableton. I go over here to the scale section, put it in D minor. And then now I can see all of my notes that are in D, which are now the colored notes. When I start with any song, I usually start with a chord progression. And all that usually takes is about 4 chords right here that go and loop back and forth. Now the chords can be multiple voices. So if you see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voicings. But you could also do some with just 2 or do some with just 3 like this. And now when you have different voicings, you get more fuller sounds. So the more voices, the better. And then basically I will just switch between these to see if I like the feeling or the sound. So I like this. Now this first chord, as you see, this is our home chord. It starts with D and all the voices go up. So this is our first chord in the chord progression, which is our home, and then all the other chords can be whatever they want, and as long as we come back home, then it's going to make sense and sound complete. So first you make your first chord, then you can make your second chord. This chord can go down, so instead of going back to D, we went down to A, filled out some more voicings. And if you see here, there's a little passing note just to transition to this next chord. And you see these chords have less voicings and they're slightly changed. So this note's here, this note's here. So simple, find 4 chords that you like, and then they'll loop back and forth. Now, while you're making your chords, you can also make a little melody on top. So with the chords, you can also write some little melodies on top like this. Just to add some little sparkle. And you can hit Command B and you can actually add different notes however you want. That's basically how I did it when I made this. I just randomly put in notes until it sounded good. Now, once I have my first piano, I'll layer it with a second one, and then a third. This is our soothing melody sounds. These are all Omnisphere patches. Just finding different keyboards in Omnisphere and combining them to make a new sound. So this is our harmony with a little bit of melody. Now anytime we add new sounds like this Reese, for example, or the sub, as long as we stay within our scale of D minor, it'll sound good, and we can choose any bass notes that we like as well, which is what I did. So if you see, the first is D, our root note. Then we go down. We're staying in the colored. So this is the low end here. And if you see, it's a sub mixed with a Reese. This is the Reese. That's the sub. So we're going to mix those lows with our highs in the intro. Then on top of everything, we'll have a vocal that's also in D minor. That's also just adding some cool effects with reverb. You see this says B minor, so I pitched it up 3 to make sure that we're in key. And that's what I'll do with any samples that are out of pitch. Put it into pitch. And when I say put it into pitch, we can pitch it to the root note, or we can pitch it to any of these other notes that are within the scale. Cool. So basically, these chords are going to be playing over and over 4 times. And then as soon as this the breakdown comes, then we bring it back home, which is that one chord. And as soon as that plays, everything else starts building. Naturally, we have a brass playing a G note, which is also in our scale. And then this starts to build up. After it starts to build up and the drop comes, I copy the chords from the beginning, this chord MIDI, but instead of using an Omnisphere patch, we use a Serum patch, and we make a super saw for this drop section. Same MIDI, just different sound. It's a super saw in Serum with multiband dynamics. Very simple. While that's playing, we have all the sub frequencies playing also in D. So everything is going to be playing the root note basically during the drop. And then we have the chords progressing throughout the drop, which adds that cool effect. So these extra melodic elements can really help move the song forward. You see here, I went down an octave. So as soon as this phrase ends, then this phrase starts, but an octave lower. So just select it all, Command A, and then you shift up or down to move it down an octave. Cool. And then now, as this starts to end and the next phrase comes, this is the phrase B section, I copied the MIDI, but we load up a whole new sound. So I went to Serum, just made a sound here, lots of unison, square waves. So I made a different sound to add some energy. And while that's playing, we have a new sound come in. And as you see here, they're just playing on D, which is the root note. So I go up the scale, down, then go to the root note. These are tricks you can do, walking up and down the scale and then playing the root note, of course. And you hear this is slowly filtered out. So it's filtered out and we're slowly opening it up. And while it's opening, the other song's playing. All the basses. And you see that, so then we'll just transition the end of the drop. So I like delay the end, and then we add some impacts in this section. It goes down, and then we bring it up, back to the intro chords. Which is now the breakdown. And then basically we'll repeat it, build it up again. And this is a low octave drop. Oh, yes. And that's how we do it. That is how we win. These are some tips and tricks for your chords, for your melodies, harmonies, chord progressions, anything that you guys need. Honestly, this is about feeling and getting the right sound through feeling. So just remember, root notes, scales, keys, match them together and everything sounds nice. And it's going to make it a lot quicker for you to make bangers. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Get on my Patreon so you can get these sounds, get some samples and racks for yourself. Otherwise, hit like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
Damn!